wonderful to meet you. Yeah, thank you for being on time. I know, you already have 5 points. Oh no, I'm just kidding. There are no points involved. Why don't you have a seat? Would you like anything to drink or... Okay, well let me know if you do. We have some hot cocoa and cookies, of course. Yes, well, and then water if you want something a little bit more bland. Okay. So, you've already been through the other interview steps in the process, correct? Okay, good. Well, now, today we're just here to kind of gauge the breadth of your experience, kind of your qualifications, okay? Now, I already have a few documents here with me, and we'll go over those throughout the interview, but for right now, I just want to cover the basics just to make sure I have the accurate information on file, okay? Okay, great. Okay, can you just verify your name for me, please? Okay, great. And what's the best contact address for you if we needed to send you a letter or a package, anything like that? Okay, great. Now, as I understand it, you are here today, just to double check, you're here today for the Reindeer caretaker job, correct? Okay. Well, there are 2 main reindeer caretakers right now. One is retiring, so that is the position you'll be filling. Now, Margaret is our other caretaker, and yes, she's very devoted to her job, and she's nowhere near retiring. She's only 125, so she's still got a few years left in her. Yeah. So, you'll be working with her. Now, have you met Margaret in the... You have? Okay, good. Oh, wonderful. Yeah, she is just such a sweetheart. Yeah. Now, just to clarify, you won't be working alongside her very often. It's usually a shift position. Exactly. So you work in 2 different shifts, and there's a day and a night shift. Now, Margaret already takes the night one. She's more of a night owl, so she volunteered for that right away. And so you'll be working the day position. Okay? Does that sound like something that's agreeable to you? Okay, good. Well, yeah, we have some people who do prefer to work the nights because that's when the reindeer are most active usually, but, well, our reindeer are anyway, yeah. Well, they're used to, of course, making their great voyage once a year, so we try to keep them on that cycle all throughout the year. Yeah, so we don't want drowsy reindeer on Christmas Eve, right? So another thing I need to kind of go over with you is we do thorough background checks, mainly as it pertains to the naughty and nice list. Yeah, kind of your Christmas track record. So it looks like there was only 1 year where you were on the naughty list, and it was very early on. Yeah. Well, yeah, exactly. Well, no, we've never had a human caretaker before. And generally, it's only humans who are on the naughty or nice list, so we had to add this portion for you. And, well, it's so great that we're going to be able to diversify because right now we have primarily elf staff. We only have 1 other human on our payroll, and she works in the bakery department. Oh, she's fantastic. So you will be the second one that we're going to be adding to our team, hopefully. And so I did want to review that naughty and nice aspect with you. So now that year, you were only 4 years old, correct? Okay. Well, yeah, generally anything under the age of 5 we kind of just disregard because, yeah, unless it's something really horrendous, you know, like arson or something like that. But let me see here. So now let's go into your actual qualifications in terms of reindeer husbandry, okay? So, have you ever cared for reindeer before? If you know, maybe not, of course, magical reindeer, but okay. All right. So you have worked in zoos before where they've had traditional deer. Okay. Okay, that's great. Now, as part of this position, you were required to take a course before you even applied, correct? And that was in terms of the magic dust. Well, you see, the thing is with the reindeer, you have to give them the proper dosage of the magic pixie dust, or else, you know, things will go haywire. They get very hyper, and if you don't, you know, administer the proper dosage enough, they basically won't be able to get off the ground. So, yeah, that's primarily why we do it. We had 1 year where they got into the supply of fairy dust, and it was a nightmare. They were running all around the place. It was the debacle of 61, yeah, and the toy shop was in ruins, and I don't even want to talk about it. I still have a little bit of anxiety from the whole thing. So now, and you've already provided us with your certificate of completion for that and your the other documents we asked you for, right? Perfect. And your references. I must say your references were glowing. Yeah. Okay. So let me see here. Just jot down some notes. Perfect. Now, let me see here. That's better. There we go. Now, how many jobs have you had in the past that directly related to animals? Okay. And that was for how long? Perfect. And did you also go through the little mini workshop we had about reindeer diets and their eating habits and such? Oh, is it? Oh, yep, I see the certificate here. Okay, perfect. Okay, now another question I have to ask you is, usually when Santa goes on, you know, his big trip every year, one of the reindeer caretakers will go with him. So now this year we're already having Margaret go because, of course, she has a night shift. But what we generally do is we generally have it on a rotation to where you take turns. So next year you would be going with Santa on the voyage. Now, are you all right with that? Do you have any issue with heights or anything like that? Okay. Great. Now, and you already signed the non-disclosure agreement, correct? Yeah, the confidentiality contract. Good. Okay. Well, we had an issue, I don't know, about a decade ago where someone leaked some information about Santa to one of the tabloids, it was not pretty. So we found out who it was, and it was someone who was kind of a seasonal worker. She came in and helped in the bakery around November every year, and so we had a chat with her, and we had to let her go, unfortunately, because, you know, trust is paramount. So, and you don't have any issues with, okay, yeah. Well, we ask people to kind of not lie, I'm not going to say that, but maybe stretch the truth a bit about their profession, because if people do find out you work with Santa's reindeers, for instance, they're bound to ask questions, get a little nosy about it, and so we always provide you with a job cover, is what we call it, and it's sort of a package that we give you, to where we give you a uniform that corresponds to the profession that we're, kind of a disguise, and various, little badges and things like that, key cards, just to make it look really authentic. And even the paychecks you'll be getting, which will be directly deposited, they say they're from our another company that we're associated with, that, doesn't let anyone in on the secret. Yeah, well, we recommend not telling anyone, not even people who are very close to you, because, like I said, it can damage relationships, if you don't want to divulge information and they get angry, that you won't confide in them. It's for everyone's benefit, yeah. And have they already discussed what your cover would be? Yeah, they usually do that early on the interview process, because they want people to be comfortable with the whole situation. Well, it looks like they're going, you're going to be a caterer. Okay. Okay, good. Just jot that down. Perfect. Okay, let me see if there's any more questions I need to ask you. Let's see here. I've already covered all the qualifications, the whole aspect of confidentiality and the cover story. Let's see. Oh, and it appears here that Margaret gave you very high marks too during the interview. Yeah, she really enjoyed chatting with you, so that's great. Now, there will be times where your shifts will overlap. It's usually if you have to work weekends sometimes, yeah, but generally you're kind of in there alone with the reindeer. Now, I do need to warn you, this is kind of the last item on the list. Prancer is a bit of a handful. Well, everyone always says, oh, Rudolph is kind of rowdy, and, he kind of gets the bad rep, but I think Prancer is ultimately the troublemaker. Now, Vixen, she's just got a lot of sass, but Prancer, So what we generally have him do is we'll have the caretaker take him on a little a flight, usually about once a week. That's another reason I asked you about heights. Just to let him kind of blow off some steam. Usually the other reindeer, it's about once a month, just to make sure that, now they have other exercises, of course, but for him, he really needs to get out and roam a little bit. So you're okay with that? Okay, yeah, we have a little kind of one reindeer sleigh that you can take out. It's kind of nice, actually. It's just for, an hour or so, but okay. Okay, perfect, covered that. All right. And I already went over the dietary habits with you. Yeah, it's generally carrots. They do like gingerbread occasionally, that sort of thing. Some honey every now and again. They also have a feed mix that we give them. Yeah, that covers all their nutritional values. So, okay. Now, the reindeer stables, have they already taken you on a tour of the reindeer stables? It's lovely, isn't it? Yeah, we try to make that area kind of magical too. Well, they have feeding troughs there that you'll just put their food in. Some of them like to be hand-fed, especially if it's a treat, you know, but I will say, I know I mentioned Prancer, but Comet also likes to sneak out every now and again, and yeah, he makes his way over to the hot chocolate factory and just goes wild, and then he has an upset stomach for a week. So you do have to keep an eye on him there and make sure all of their pens are secure, but particularly Prancer and Comets, because they're the two you really have to keep an eye on. Okay, now Rudolph, while I'm mentioning it, he does need his nose polished every now and again. It's usually about once every other week, and we have a special ointment that you put on it. Yeah, we find it helps him keep his brilliance, so yeah. Okay. Well, all of this sounds great. Well, I'm not supposed to tell you this because it's supposed to, you know, come from the higher ups, but you're pretty much a shoo-in for this. Yeah, this was just kind of a precautionary measure at the end, but they wanted to make sure, you know, we crossed all of our T's and dotted all of our I's and had all the documentation in place, but you pretty much got it. Yeah. Well, now they're going to contact you next week. Act surprised. And they'll probably set up a meeting rather than sending you a letter or anything, and they'll offer you the job position then, okay? Okay, great. Well, I'm so happy to have you as part of the team. You know, like I said, act surprised, but I just wanted to be the first to welcome you on board, okay? Okay, great. I'll give you some papers to take home too. That's just kind of our preliminary new hire packet. Just some things to look over, like the employee manual and such, your basic stuff. Okay. It was great meeting you. Yeah, I know, I'm sorry. I was supposed to be there at your second interview, but I ended up coming down with a little bit of the flu, so it was long overdue for me to meet you. Yeah. Well, you take care, and like I said, next week they'll be contacting you, and yeah, great. Thank you so much for coming in.